Welcome to Session 8, Advancing Children's Physical and Intellectual Development. During this session, you will learn what is early childhood cognitive development. You will be able to identify child development theorists. You will describe some principles of development and be able to analyze the impact of heredity and environment on early childhood development. Function Area 5, Cognitive. You will be able to use a variety of developmentally appropriate learning experiences and teaching strategies to promote curiosity, reasoning, problem solving, to lay the foundation for all later learning. You will be able to implement curriculum that promotes children's learning of important mathematics, science, technology, social studies, and other content goals. Items 5.1. You will be able to give activities that encourage curiosity, exploration, and discovery. Items 5.2. Materials and equipment stimulate children's thinking and problem solving. Items 5.3. Your interactions will promote children's thinking and problem solving. Items 5.4. Interactions will be intentionally building upon children's prior knowledge. Child development is the pattern of change that occurs as children grow from birth to adolescence. The study of child development includes descriptions of how, when, why, and what order changes occur. When you understand what a child's capabilities should typically be at different age levels, you know what to expect from the child. You notice when a child is developmentally ahead and needs extra challenges. You also notice when something is not right. For example, someone who isn't aware of the age at which children usually put complete sentences together may not notice that a child is having language problems. Undiagnosed, the problem gets worse. Other problems arise, and the child suffers further developmentally. An alert observer, on the other hand, sees what is happening and seeks help that enables the child to improve his or her language skills and move forward developmentally. The people who work in childcare today have an especially large responsibility for monitoring the development of children. With so many parents employed, more children than ever before are spending time in group care settings. A caregiver may spend more waking hours with the child than the parents do. For this reason, childcare professionals must keep a sharp eye on how children are progressing. Knowledge helps provide the confidence they need to handle children responsibly. Much of what is known about children and their development is the result of years of study by many researchers. Hundreds of years ago, children were thought to be miniature adults. Few realized their special needs and characteristics. As interest in children and a desire to make their lives better grew, so did the need for information about them. To learn more, researchers had to develop and test theories, a standard method of scientific research. They observed children and reached conclusions. Attitudes towards children have been shaped by what people discovered. The way society handles children has been strongly influenced by those who study child development. Many researchers, or theorists, have contributed to the body of knowledge about children that exists today. As might be expected, the impact of some research has been greater than that of others. The conclusions reached have not always been accepted by everyone. Over time, some theories have been replaced by newer ideas. The result over the years, however, have been an increased understanding and appreciation for the development of young children. Certain theorists stand out when it comes to the study of children. Let's take a look at a few of them. Jean Piaget believed that human cognitive development is a result of adaptations to the physical environment. This adaptation resulted in organized patterns of behavior and perception. Through observation of children, Piaget identified how the development of a child's thought process and intellect proceeds through a series of stages. Jean Piaget theorized that young children think differently from adults. And according to his theory, children construct their knowledge of the world through activities. Jean Piaget's thinking has challenged teachers to focus on the ways children come to know as opposed to what they know. His theory of cognitive development focuses on predictive cognitive thinking stage. Piaget believed that thinking was different during each stage of development. His theory explained mental operations. This includes how children perceive, think, understand, and learn about their world. Piaget believed that children naturally attempt to understand what they do not know. Knowledge is gathered gradually during active involvement in real-life experiences. Let's look at Piaget's stages of cognitive development in action.
New babies aren't quite sure what happens to objects when they leave their sight. Sky's mom keeps disappearing and reappearing. No wonder peekaboo is so much fun. During their first year, however, infants will learn an important concept: object permanence. Everything has a life of its own, even if it is out of sight.
At Maya's age, babies know to look for the object, but they might not have everything else straight. 10-month-old Simon is about to make a classic mistake. Although he watched us place the toy plane under the white cloth, he'll look for it where he last found it, not where he watched us hide it.
Can you look at these two glasses? Do you think that they have the same amount of juice? You think they have the same? Okay. Now we're going to pour this juice into this glass. Now, do you think that this glass has more juice, this glass has more juice, or do you think that they have the same amount?
That one has more.
This one has more, and why do you think that this one has more?
Because it's taller.
Okay, you ready? Yeah. Okay. Does this row have more quarters? Does this row have more quarters, or do they have the same?
1, 2, 3. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They're both the same.
They're the same?
5, 5.
Okay. Okay. Does this row have more quarters? Does this row have more, or do they have the same?
This one has more.
That one has more quarters?
Yeah.
Why does this row have more quarters?
Because it's more far away.
It's more far away?
Yeah, it's more far away than that. Looks bigger.
So first we're going to look at these two cups right here. Do you think there's the same amount of juice in this glass as there is in that glass?
They're even.
They're even? Okay. So we're going to take the juice from this glass and pour it into this one right here.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're going to look at this glass and that one. So do you think that there's more juice in this glass, more juice in this glass, or do you think that they have the same amount?
Same amount.
Okay, why do you think that they have the same amount?
Just because this is skinny doesn't mean it's not the same amount. It has the same amount of juice in it, but this one is just wider and this one's skinnier, but they have the same amount of juice in it.
It says, if you hit a glass with a hammer, the glass will break.
I knew that.
And then this one says, Dawn hit a glass with a hammer.
I knew that too.
So what happened to the glass?
It broke.
It broke. Why did it break?
Because the hammer's hard.
If you hit a glass with a feather, the glass will break.
No, it won't.
And this is the second rule. Dawn hit a glass with a feather. What happened to the glass?
Nothing.
Nothing happened? Why didn't anything happen?
Because the feather was soft.
Both John Piaget and Lev Vygotsky believe that children build knowledge through experiences. Piaget believed this happened through exploration with hands-on activities. Vygotsky, on the other hand, believed that children learn through social and cultural experiences. Interactions with peers and adults help children in this process. By interacting with others, children learn the custom, values, beliefs, and language of their culture. For this reason, families and teachers should provide plenty of social interactions for young children. Vygotsky believed language is an important tool for thought and plays a key role in cognitive development. He introduced the term private speech, or self-taught. This refers to when children think out loud. After learning language, children engage in this self-talk to help guide their activity and development for thinking. Let's take a look at Lev Vygotsky's social cultural theory in action.
In his theory, he believed that children gain knowledge with the help of others, particularly parents and other skilled adults, called co-constructivism. He believed that children learn first at the social level through interactions with others. Learning happens because we interact with our environment. We do not learn because we have developed. We develop because we learn. He focused on how children develop language and how those skills promote dialogue with others. His beliefs focused around the zone of proximal development, known as ZPD. The ZPD is the area between a child's area of current abilities, the actual development, or I can, and the area where the child is not ready to learn, the higher level of development, or I can't. Tasks that are too complex become frustrating and do not promote learning. The area overlapping is the zone where learning happens. The tasks in the ZPD are the things we can almost do ourselves, but still need help from others to accomplish. The key is to aim between these two areas of learning. Think of an Oreo cookie. The top cookie is the easy or boring stuff, and the bottom cookie is the too hard stuff. The filling represents the tasks the children can almost do themselves, but need a little assistance from others to complete, the ZPD. This concept of assisting in learning is called scaffolding. Scaffolding is defined as instructionally supported interactions that guide effective learning. It gives the child the support and guidance to learn a new task, just as scaffolding is used by painters to complete their task. As the teaching scaffolding continues, new possibilities and knowledge are learned. Teachers need to build on prior knowledge without making things too complicated. The ZPD should be checked periodically by teachers by solving a problem and observing whether the child can imitate it. They should also begin solving a problem and ask if the learner can complete it. Another way is for the teacher to ask the child to cooperate with another, more developed child in solving a problem. Every child has a different zone of proximal development. Although Vygotsky shared how ZPD and scaffolding are very important in development, he also did not want the psychology of play to go unnoticed. This is the time in which a child does not need an adult's assistance or lead, but rather they take the world into their own hands. Imaginative play shapes how children make sense of their worlds, how they learn thinking skills, and how they acquire language. When working with or raising children, you observe them in imaginative play daily, whether the child is playing by themselves and has imaginary friends, or if they are playing with a group in which they are playing house. These are all forms of play. During play, children are creating dialogue, expanding their vocabulary. They are creating conflicts in which they can decide how to resolve. One important thing that should be noticed is that the technology of this world is slowly diminishing the play factor for children. Speech is also a focus of study that Vygotsky wanted his followers to know. He noticed 3 forms of speech that a child goes through. First is social speech, which is in the early years of birth to age 2. Social speech is when the child is talking to the outside world with whatever they can get to come out. Vygotsky was then the first to document the next form, which is private speech. This is directed to the child themselves in teaching their mind to grow, and is found important because it is the transition between the other 2 forms. Lastly, Vygotsky noted that silent inner speech is a form of speech used around the age of 7. Once private speech diminishes, the speech becomes self-regulated and just flows as a natural conversation with one's self would. Quote, inner speech is not the interior aspect of external speech. It is a function in itself. It still remains speech. Example, thought connected with words. But while in external speech thought is embodied in words, in inner speech words dies as they bring forth thought. Inner speech is to a large extent thinking in pure meanings. End quote.
Urie Bronfenbrenner, an American development psychologist, emphasizes social and cultural influences on development. The context includes the family, educational settings, community, and broader society are all interrelated and all have an impact on the development of a child. For example, even though a child with a disability may live in a nurturing, accepting family and have support from peers and neighbors, the child may be affected by stereotypes and bias held by the community at large that could affect his or her development. Let's take a look at Bronfenbrenner's cultural context theory.
We will begin with the first level of Bronfenbrenner's theory, the microsystem. The microsystem is the system closest to the person and the one in which they have direct contact. Some examples would be home, school, daycare, or work. A microsystem typically includes family, peers, or caregivers. Relationships in a microsystem are bidirectional. In other words, your reactions to the people in your microsystem will affect how they treat you in return. This is the most influential level of the ecological systems theory. The next level of ecological systems theory is the mesosystem. The mesosystem consists of the interactions between the different parts of a person's microsystem. The mesosystem is where a person's individual microsystems do not function independently, but are interconnected and assert influence upon one another. These interactions have an indirect impact on the individual. The exosystem is the next level we will examine. The exosystem refers to a setting that does not involve the person as an active participant, but still affects them. This includes decisions that have bearing on the person, but in which they have no participation in the decision-making process. An example would be a child being affected by a parent receiving a promotion at work or losing their job. The fourth level of ecological systems theory is the macrosystem. The macrosystem encompasses the cultural environment in which the person lives and all other systems that affect them. Examples could include the economy, cultural values, and political systems. The macrosystem can have either a positive or a negative effect on the person's development. The chronosystem is the final level in ecological systems theory. The chronosystem is the dimension of time in relation to a person's development. Time can be relevant in different ways. One way time can be an influence is the timing of an event during a person's development. For example, the death of a parent would affect a 3-year-old differently than a teenager. Time can also be an influence because of historical events or conditions that exist during a person's life. An example would be the effects of growing up during the Great Depression or during World War II. Technology is one important part of Alex's chronosystem. Alex has grown up using a computer and playing video games. He even received his own iPad as a Christmas present. This could have a developmental impact on his learning style and social skills. Alex's experience with technology is also very different from that of a child growing up 20 years earlier.
Erik Erikson studied the development of personality by dividing life into stages of psychological crisis. Erikson believed that personality characteristics are developed according to how each individual adapts to each stage. Erikson's psychosocial theory emphasizes that development occurs throughout the lifespan in a series of stages, with each stage contributing to and being influenced by the one preceding and following it. He proposed 8 psychosocial stages that are each characterized by a conflict or crisis that influences our social development and reflects the particular culture unique to each individual. According to Erikson, healthy lifelong social interactions come from the successful resolution of the unique development task that an individual faces. How individuals resolve the social conflicts at each stage influences their attitudes and skills. Erikson believed that children play an active role in shaping their experiences by the way they interact with their environments. He emphasized the role of development needs as a way to understand what age-appropriate social and emotional behaviors should be. Erikson's theory is the most widely read and influential of the psychoanalytical theorists. Of the 8 stages, we will cover the first 4. Stage 1. Trust versus mistrust. During the first 18 months of life, children learn to trust or mistrust their environment. To develop trust, they need to have warm, consistent, predictable, and attentive care. They need caregivers who will accurately read and respond to their signals. When infants are distressed, they need to be comforted. They also need loving physical contact, nourishment, cleanliness, and warmth. Then they will develop a sense of confidence and trust that the world is safe and dependable. Mistrust will occur if an infant experiences an unpredictable world and is handled harshly. Stage 2. Autonomy versus shame and doubt. This second stage occurs between 18 months and 3 years of age. During this stage, toddlers use their new motor and mental skills. They want to be independent and do things for themselves. They are in the process of discovering their own bodies and practicing developing locomotive, physical movement, and language skills. The objective of this stage is to gain self-control without a loss of self-esteem. Fostering independence in children is important. At this age, toddlers start to become self-sufficient. They need to learn to choose and decide for themselves. To do this, toddlers need loving, supportive environments. Positive opportunities for self-feeding, toileting, dressing, and exploration will result in an autonomy or independence. On the other hand, overprotection or lack of adequate activities results in self-doubt, poor achievement, and shame. Stage 3. Initiative versus guilt. Between 3 and 5 years of age, the third stage occurs. According to Erikson, it emerges as a result of the many skills children have developed. Now children have the capacity and are ready to learn constructive ways of dealing with people and things. They are learning how to take initiative without being hurtful to others. They are also busy discovering how the world works. Children begin to realize that what they do can have an effect on the world too. Challenged by the environment, children are constantly attempting and mastering new tasks. Aided by strong initiative, they are able to move ahead energetically and quickly forget failures. Children at this stage need to develop a sense of purpose. This happens when adults direct children's urges towards acceptable social practices. If children are discouraged by criticism, feelings of incompetence are likely to emerge. This can also occur if parents demand too much control. Stage 4. Industry versus inferiority. The major crisis of this stage occurs between 6 and 12 years of age. At this time, children enjoy planning and carrying out projects. This helps them learn society rules and expectations. During this stage, children gain approval by developing intellectual skills such as reading, writing, and math. The way family, neighbors, teachers, and friends respond to children affects their future development. Realistic goals and expectations enrich children's sense of self. Children can become frustrated by criticism or discouragement, or if parents demand too much control. Feelings of incompetence and insecurity will emerge. The last development theory we will discuss is Gardner's multiple intelligence theory. Howard Gardner has helped teachers rethink how they work with young children. Traditionally, intelligence tests mainly focus on language and math, logic skills. In contrast, Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence emphasizes that there are different kinds of intelligences used by human brain. Gardner believes intelligence is the result of complex interactions between children's heredity and experiences. This theory focuses on how culture shapes human potential. Garner claims that children learn and express themselves in many different ways. In the process, they are using several types of intelligence. Each intelligence functions separately, but are all closely linked. According to Garner, a potential intelligence will not develop unless it is nurtured. Learning can best be achieved by using a child's strongest intelligence. Garner claims, however, that all children need opportunities to develop all areas of intelligence. The multiple intelligence theory allows teachers to see the positive attributes of all children. Teachers also view Garner's theory as a meaningful guide for making curriculum decisions. It gives them a chance to assess children's learning strengths. From this data, teachers can plan a wide variety of learning experiences. For this week's assignments, you will read in your textbook, Working with Young Children, pages 136 through 160. You will also watch The Secret Life of a Baby's Brain and watch The Secret Life of a Child's Brain. After viewing both videos, you will write in the discussion board about your thoughts for both videos and respond to another student's writing.